You have been told a lie. It is a lie repeated by your parents, your friends, and every estate agent with a shiny suit and a leased Audi. The lie is this: renting is dead money. They tell you that when you rent, you are burning your cash. But when you buy, you are supposedly banking it. You are building an empire. But look closer. Why is the homeowner burning more money than the renter? In 2026, the math has changed. If you think buying a house is an investment, you might be about to make the most expensive mistake of your life. In Britain, homeownership isn't a financial decision. It's a religion. If you are 30 years old and you don't own a set of keys, people look at you like you've forgotten to wear trousers. You feel the pressure. You scroll Rightmove at 2 a.m. You feel guilty. You feel like you are failing. But today, we are turning off the emotions. We are ignoring the property ladder rhetoric. We are going to look at the only thing that cannot lie to you, the maths. I'm going to show you the hidden incinerator inside every mortgage. I'm going to introduce you to the opportunity cost that is silently stealing millions. And I'm going to give you the 5% rule, a simple formula to know exactly when you should rent and when you should buy. Welcome to Clay and Mortar. Let's burn the script. To understand why renting isn't a scam, we first have to accept that owning is expensive. Let's take a standard UK home. Price, £300,000. Harry buys this today. He puts down a 10% deposit, £30,000. And he borrows £270,000. His mortgage rate is 4.5%, a fairly standard rate for 2026. His monthly payment is roughly £1,500. Harry thinks, I am paying £1,500 to myself. I am saving money. Wrong. In the first few years of a mortgage, the majority of your payment is interest. On a £270,000 loan at 4.5%, roughly £1,000 of that monthly payment goes straight to the bank. That doesn't buy him a single brick. It does not lower his debt. It is the cost of renting the money. That £1,000 is unrecoverable. It is gone. Then there is the silent killer, depreciation and maintenance. Houses are physical objects. They decay. Entropy comes for us all, but it comes for homeowners first. The global rule of thumb is 1% of the property value per year for maintenance. For a £300,000 house, that is £3,000 a year, or £250 a month. But my house is new, Harry says. I don't need to spend that. Maybe not this year, Harry, but in 10 years. You need a new roof, £10,000. In 15 years, a new boiler, £4,000. You aren't escaping this cost, you are just deferring it. So add £250 a month to the incinerator. And we haven't even talked about the cost of getting in. Stamp duty, solicitors' fees, surveyors, moving costs. On an average home, you are setting fire to roughly £5,000 to £10,000 on day one. If you stay in the house for 5 years, that's another £150 a month amortized. Gone. So let's tally up Harry's burn rate. Interest, £1,000. Maintenance, £250. Transaction friction, £150. Total unrecoverable cost, £1,400 a month. Harry is throwing £1,400 away every single month. Now look at Ruth. She rents an identical flat next door. Her rent is £1,400. They are financially identical. The only difference is Harry pays the bank, while Ruth pays the landlord. Except Harry had to do one more thing, and this is where he loses the game. This is the concept that breaks the brain of every British boomer: opportunity cost. To get that mortgage, Harry had to lock up a £30,000 deposit. That money is now trapped. It is dead equity. It sits in the walls of his house. What is the return on that money? Historically, UK housing beats inflation by about 1–2%. Let's be generous and say the house appreciates 3% a year. But Ruth didn't bury her £30,000. She is renting. She kept her cash liquid. She put that £30,000 into a low-cost global index fund inside a tax-free ISA. Historically, the stock market returns about 8% to 10% a year. Let's run the clock forward 10 years. Harry's 30K trapped in the house at 3% growth has grown to roughly £40,000. Ruth's 30K in the market at 8% growth has doubled to £65,000. Ruth made £25,000 more than Harry simply by doing nothing. And she didn't have to fix a single toilet. This is the difference between being asset rich and being liquid rich. Harry is a liquid. If he loses his job, he can't eat his skirting boards. He is stressed, the bank owns him. Ruth is liquid. Her wealth is in shares that pay dividends. If she loses her job, she sells a tiny fraction of her portfolio. If she gets a job offer in New York, she cancels her lease and leaves. Harry thinks he bought security, but he actually bought a liability that masquerades as an asset. Ruth looks like she has nothing, but she secretly owns a slice of the global economy. So who is really throwing money away? Okay, I can hear the comments section already. But clay and mortar rents are skyrocketing. My landlord is a parasite. I agree, not all renting is good. Sometimes buying is the smarter move. So how do you decide? Put down the emotions, pick up the calculator. Use the 5% rule. Take the value of the home you want to live in, multiply it by 5%. Example, you want to live in a £400,000 flat in London. £400,000 times 5% equals £20,000 a year. Divide by 12 equals £1,666 a month. If you can rent that flat for less than £1,666, rent it. The owner is subsidizing your life. They are taking the risk, paying the maintenance, and eating the capital costs while you pay less than the cost of capital. If the rent is more than £1,666, then maybe it's time to buy. In many parts of the UK right now, especially the southeast, rents are significantly lower than the 5% cost. The market is screaming at you to rent, but your ego is screaming at you to buy. Now let's be honest, we live in the UK. Renting here is not like renting in Vienna or Berlin. We have Section 21 evictions. We have landlords who won't let you own a hamster, let alone paint the walls. There is a value to ownership that isn't on a spreadsheet. It's called control. If you are buying because you want to paint your bedroom neon pink, or because you want to ensure your kids stay in the same school for 10 years, buy the house. But do not call it an investment, call it a luxury consumption. You are buying a lifestyle product, like a luxury car or a purebred dog. It costs money to hold, it limits your freedom, but if it makes you happy, that's fine. But if you are buying because you think it will make you rich, check the math. Because while Harry is fixing his roof, Ruth is retiring early. So which are you, Team Harry the owner or Team Ruth the investor? Let me know in the comments if you're brave enough to keep renting. The housing market relies on your fear. It relies on you feeling like a failure if you don't participate. But wealth isn't about how many bricks you own. It's about your net worth. It's about your liquidity. It's about your freedom. Don't let a 30-year mortgage be the only plan you have for your financial future. Do the math, check the 5% rule. And if the numbers say rent, then rent with pride. Invest the difference, build your shield. And let the landlord worry about the roof. And subscribe to Clay and Mortar. If you want your assets to grow faster than a patch of mold, in a British bathroom. I'm clay and mortar. If you want to see what happens when the housing bubble actually bursts, click this video here. Otherwise, see you in the next one.